Couldn't just follow again. Buy a ticket from Dallas to Chicago, Chicago to Lagos, Lagos, New Delhi, New Delhi, back to Chicago, Chicago, go to Dallas. What? A student.
Good day, beautiful people of God. As I was narrating to us in the last episode, life continued, that righteous living continued even to a wider degree. I remember that in the summer of 1984, I made my first trip back to Nigeria. And it was on that trip while I was in Lagos that I heard about heroin trade. And a cousin of mine actually suggested it to me, and I was like, man, you must be crazy. Don't you know where we are from? You know, and I didn't give it a second thought. And then I had a nice holiday, went back to the States, and then because I was now at the point where I was looking for how to augment income as to sustain the righteous living, it eventually led me into financial crime. I remember back in the days, you could go to the bank in the US, say maybe you have $6,000 in the account. You could go to the drive-through, through the drive-through, and withdraw the money. And then go back a couple or 3 hours later and go inside and withdraw the same amount, because it used to take them 24 hours to update their record. And before you would do that, you would have already gotten a fake ID with a fake name. Use that to register an account, maybe run it for a couple of weeks, as the case may be. And so we're doing all sorts with financial instruments. We'll get people that work with these companies, and they will pull out some checklists from their checklist and would cash the money. So money started coming, and that enabled me to live more righteously, and I began to travel all over the world. I started with Europe, all the big cities in Europe. Then I would come back to Nigeria and I would buy a flight ticket that would read something like Enugu, Lagos, Lagos, London, London to Dallas, then Dallas to LA, LA back to Dallas, Dallas to Chicago, back to Dallas, and then Dallas to Paris, and then from Paris to Italy, from there to Lagos and back. And all these tickets, a bunch of tickets, will not cost more than 7,000 naira back in the days. And so there was more than enough resources to live large. It got to a point where I had different women in different cities of this nation. Then one traveled to, eventually, as the money began to come, I also began to look to make bigger money. And in the quest to make bigger money, what I thought I would never do because of the family that I came from, which is the drug trade, that eventually where I now found myself. And what is that drug trade? Heroin. I got into the importation and distribution of heroin into the continental United States. At the time, 1 kilo of heroin was roughly between $250,000 to $300,000. depending on the market that you got. If you decide to do retail, which some people did, I felt that was too risky. So mostly what I did was wholesale. And I got the contacts, I came back to Nigeria, we flew to India, sent people with money to Bombay, and they bought. But I will tell you, even before I went to India, the person that we were sending to India to bring in these drugs, and the issues that we had with him. And that's when the big money really started rolling in. And I want to say that when the money started coming in Quantum, one started living it up. I will explain further in our next episode. Please stay tuned. Thank you and God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this plot is getting thicker and thicker. Henry, a student, is now traveling the world. Did you follow the itinerary of the bunch of tickets he talked about? I myself, my head became woolly because I couldn't just follow again. Buy a ticket from Dallas to Chicago, Chicago to Lagos, Lagos, New Delhi, New Delhi, back to Chicago, Chicago, go to Dallas. What? A student. Hard drugs. Many people lost their lives getting involved in this trade. Many Nigerians. Parents may be thinking that they are in America studying, but they are traveling the world doing dangerous things, setting the law enforcement organizations after them all over the world. They're looking for them. That was the life that Henry used his freedom to choose. As we are speaking, many of you who are listening to me, your children, you send them to America, send them to Canada, you send them out of this country to go and study. And this is exactly what they are doing. Or even something worse. Train a child in the way he should go. At the beginning, Henry had some compunction. I said, I can't do this because of the family I came from. But eventually he threw caution to the winds and went into this trade. This story is developing. Where God entered, you will hear. But keep date with us. You will hear what transpired. Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Send these videos to your friends. Get them interested in following this story. The fact, miracles still happen today. Thank you very much. God bless you.